The creative people, the musicians, the poets, oftentimes their psyche metabolizes psychedelics so much easier. The medicine comes in and they have these beautiful experiences of like God moments and divine presence. And then there are people like me. The higher the level of neuroses and the lower level of openness can indicate that you may struggle with classic psychedelics.
Is there a type of person or personality or whatever that you notice has a tendency? You mentioned atheists being one of the few people that have struggle with like, what does this mean after I'm done with this? Are there people who they take this stuff time and time again and they're just super resistant to it? Like, it's like they can't see, they're like, what is going on? Like, who are those individuals? What is their deal? Why can't they seem to access this?
It's also a really great question. And I came from 25 years in corporate America. My degree is in computer information systems, highly logical, also having had experience with trauma and neglect as a child. So I grew up to be very controlling, very self-sufficient, very unwilling to, always looking for the escape hatch.
Yeah.
So I find the people that have very like the creative people, the musicians, the poets, like the folks who just kind of walk through life gently and easily, oftentimes their psyche metabolizes psychedelics so much easier. The medicine comes in and they have these beautiful experiences of like God moments and divine presence. And then there are people like me. There are people who struggle letting go of control. So I would tell you that if you look at the Big Five personality test, high degrees of neuroses are one way to tell if psychedelics may be a challenge for you. The higher the level of neuroses, and the lower level of openness. So those two vertices on the Big Five personality scale can indicate that you may struggle with classic psychedelics. Now, ketamine is a good way to break through that because especially in an IV drip versus an intramuscular injection where it like blasts you off immediately.
Right.
An IV of ketamine will slowly move you into the path of dissolution, of separating with consciousness. MDMA also hits the amygdala. The amygdala is where all of our fight, flight, freeze, fold responses come from. That's where that control mechanism is oftentimes held. MDMA targets the amygdala, calms that down. So MDMA is a great medicine for people that have a lot of control in their system. When you move into the classic psychedelics, psilocybin, LSD, mescaline, DMT, control and a lot of trauma can be really challenging for people to do medium to high doses of those classic psychedelics, which is what I have often found. So I tend to work with a lot of MDMA plus psilocybin. So the MDMA relaxes our trauma response, our control mechanism, and then the spiritual nature of the psilocybin can come in behind and work with it. So yeah, I would say if you have a high degree of control, which I think a lot of your listeners are probably entrepreneurs, they are visionaries, they are people that are working hard to accomplish something. They have grown up into building their practice. They are paid to make decisions and be in control. Be careful how quickly you move into the relatively higher power, DMT, mescaline, LSD, and the size of dosage.
Well said. And I will speak as one of those people who is probably extraordinarily neurotic, pretty open, but very neurotic. I mean, again, I was like, I can't imagine taking 5 grams where 1 gram gave me this. And it was uncomfortable. It was beautiful, but it was uncomfortable and in a good way, of course, right? Like I learned a lot. But yeah, it's very clear that, hey, this stuff is so, it's no joke.
That 1 gram gave you an opportunity it's like sipping consciousness through a coffee straw.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine it like tightly, this tiny little straw that you got to sip a little consciousness through. Now go up to 5 grams of mushrooms, go up to 300 micrograms of LSD, ayahuasca, ibogaine. Now you are drinking consciousness through a fire hose.
Yeah.
And some people cannot, because of their control mechanism, they cannot metabolize consciousness that quickly. And then it causes post-psychedelic difficulties. It causes ontological shock where your whole worldview of yourself and the world around you has been shattered, and you have lost all of the scaffolding of consciousness that you thought was true before, and now it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where harm can occur in the psychedelic space.
And GV, I'm curious, and I know I probably need to let you go here soon, but so many of my patients have encountered even just one-time events of psychosis.
Yep.
Broadly speaking, where, again, could it have been a little touch of schizophrenia or bipolar or whatever? There's a part of me that thinks those people are, again, this probably sounds interesting to you, but probably sounds hokey to many of my medical provider friends. It almost seems like, are they accessing consciousness in a way or shape or form that is terrifying? Because we see, practically speaking, the same, at least patients that I've encountered who, relatively speaking, they're perfectly normal. Then they go to some party and they try something that they shouldn't have tried in a really bad setting, and they're never the same person after that. And which is, I think, where a lot of the fear comes from. Oh my gosh, it's going to like break your persona in half. And is it that kind of same idea in terms of like Timothy Leary, like this, even just the setting of your own personal life can push you into opening or accessing consciousness in a way that's detrimental and somehow.
There was a Indian saint named Meher Baba, and Meher Baba used to create ashrams for people that we in the West, we would have deemed schizophrenic. He said, you're not schizophrenic. You are just operating on another plane of consciousness. So these people would show up in the ashram and sometimes for years would act like somebody with very deep mental health challenges, but he would care for them in the ashram. And then at some point in time, they would come back down. He called them God intoxicants. And we treat that in the West as a mental health disorder.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very different perspective in some places in the East. And psychedelics can open us up to energies, can experiences, planes of reality that we are unfamiliar with, which can feel like psychosis. Absolutely. And if we're talking about like the big ones tend to be bipolar 1,
mm-hmm.
Especially rapid cycling,
mm-hmm.
BPD, and schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
Those dramatic shifts in consciousness can be hard to ground. So when clients come to me with those 3 specific conditions, if they are not stable today, I do not recommend adding a psychedelic to the mix because it's just they are going to disrupt the system even more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do have people who have been diagnosed bipolar 1, who have been on meds for many years and are relatively, let's just call them stable in their life, but the meds are not working anymore. Something has shifted where they're now starting to experience the swings again. Held with the right intention and with the right medicine and the right medicine carriers, I do believe that those people can heal. I believe that the mental health crises that we are in today is only heavy energy, heavy memories, ego, vanity, old training in the system, sometimes from this life or past lives. And when we clean that, which is all psychedelics are doing, they're just cleaning low vibration memories. When we clean it up, people can heal. And it can also get worse before it gets better.